call this meeting to order. If we can determine if we have a quorum
Sure. Carly Borchard,
here.
Matt Rossi,
Delighted to be here.
Barbara Fenney, Bob Laurie,
Here.
Cameron Kremlick,
Here.
and Joel, I can't remember the last name. Martin, thank you. We have a quorum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You guys have room for your lunch. I got plenty of class.
Welcome. All right. Item number 3 is general public comment. This is comments to be heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes and may pertain to matters both on and off of the agenda. This tab will also for public comment during individual action items with comments limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any in-house general public comment?
I got a comment.
Okay.
Kenny Delpona, River Oak resident, Verdi. We got issues in our subdivision down here. And in the past, soon we still did an award. We used to have a representative body where we get all of our, or at least this means not so much the homeowners association.
Correct.
And I just wondered if we could, that person could possibly assist us in our ongoing situation down there.
Which dilemma are you referring to? I know there's a couple.
We got one of the major ones, the water.
Yeah.
The water. So and it just, I've been 20-year resident. It's been ongoing, and, you know, you just go along with it. I can follow the meeting.
Right.
Nothing seems to have changed. It's getting to a point now. The experts have said that they're involved now, it's starting to deteriorate. And we're kind of putting this on the residents, and I just wanted to, we had somebody else who's
Well,
could shed a little light on this.
if I may, what I would suggest is Alexis Hill is our representative now.
That's
For
right,
the
that's a
commission.
position award.
She's our commissioner for this district, correct? And when Alexis Hill,
Hill.
and we can give you her email address. What I would highly recommend is that you email her and see if she'll come to one of your HOA meetings. I know that you have one upcoming that's going to be dealing with a couple different issues. So if you can get that issue on their agenda and put her out, I think that she can really lead you in the right direction or at least give you some advice.
And what I think, Reno has annexed everything around here, and it just happened, where, you know, all of a sudden you wake up, it's been annexed in, and I guess it's, I'm not, I stand corrected, as Burbank resident, we have no say on that, I guess, as far as.
Not on the annexation, unfortunately, because the city of Reno basically owns the land. So if they want to develop it, everything has to go through them for approval. So it makes things very convoluted and confusing. However, there are a number of us, including myself, that are still unincorporated Washoe. I don't know specifically what River Oaks is known for. I thought they were still Washoe County as well. But I could be incorrect.
Yeah.
So you guys would absolutely still benefit from A, for presence, B, for guidance, and C, for connections with the city of Reno.
And that community could be opted to be considered for annexation. Is that?
Yep.
That whole subdivision has to, and the association has to.
There's a certain percentage, and unfortunately, I can't speak intelligently enough to it, but it's a certain percentage of the residents, owners, not renters,
Right.
owners of the lots, were to opt in, they could absolutely annex in. That's exactly what Garson Ranch did. That's what all of these ranches did. That's what started this fire that we've been.
Yeah, it stands now, Tumwater, Reno, Washoe County, they know what's going on down there. that's three strikes. They want no part of that. And we're looking for some assistance to the grants, or maybe Washoe County, and, boy, you know, we got the PUC involved in
Right.
it, it just keeps getting pushed ahead.
I've been following it for many years. I would just say that this is probably not the appropriate meeting for that. I would think that your homeowners association would be more appropriate, and hopefully you can get the right representatives there to kind of give you some guidance.
It's trouble, but anyway, thanks for
Yeah.
hearing me out.
Absolutely.
But I might add that, you can also go to the Neighborhood Advisory Board, the NAB, City of Reno for Ward 5, which is encompassed in here. They have their meeting on the second Tuesday at 5:30 at the City Hall. And again, which like Carly mentioned, contact Alexa Hill.
Okay.
She's the chairman of the county advisory board, the county commission, and she's also running for governor, so it's a good time to stop in.
Lean on her a little, okay?
It's amazing what you can get done about this time of year.
All right. Are there any other public comment? Are there any hands raised online?
I see no, let me do it.
If you do
No.
have a public comment, those online, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll call on you and unmute you.
I'm seeing no one.
Okay. We'll move on. Which is approval of the minutes for the meeting of July 21st. I was able to watch online and we did briefly read through the minutes. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns, changes?
Mac Rossi, for the record, would like to make a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes for July 21st.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Cameron Crown, motion, a second motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Great. Moving on to item number 5, public safety updates. General community updates for public safety representatives, including but not limited to Truckee Meadows Fire, Washoe County Sheriff, and others. We've just got the head honcho, huh?
Well, gosh, I wouldn't say that. For the record, James Laurel, Truckee Meadows, Battalion Chief. Just giving you a quick update on the call volume for the month of August. We had one fire out here, fortunately, and only 22 medicals, total of 39 calls. The rest of them were scattered through different categories. We are still picking up fires, wildlife fires, even with cooler temperatures and the moisture that we've been getting. So please continue being aware of that. With the winds as of the last couple of days, things are starting to dry out again. Our crews have been working on a project up at Chimney Peak with NB Energy in preparation for a project that NB Energy is going to be doing next summer in hardening their infrastructure to safen that line that goes through up there. And that's about all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Chimney Peak, I'm not familiar with that location.
It's directly across, right up top of Garson Road, above the old Boy Scout camp. It's got the repeaters up there on top.
Yeah, I know what that in there, so we're good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One question, Cameron Crown, for the record. Does your department ever offer the service of coming to people's residents to give suggestions about things that we could do to harden the property for wildlife?
Yes, we do. You can call the office.
Okay.
And we've got a wildland urban interface coordinator, Brett Taylor, and that's what he does.
Cool, thank you.
Barb Benny for the record. Also, if you call Firewise, they will come out and they will do a full inspection, checklist, everything. I'm not sure if they will do an interior inspection. One of these agencies does that, but they definitely would do a grounds inspection, and they don't write you up or lock you up or anything like that. And usually they bring a fire truck or really rattles off the neighbors. Those good publicity. Yeah.
Any other questions? Garden Orchard, for the record, I do have one general question, and I don't know we've kind of asked the last couple meetings, and I'm not sure if we can get any status updates on the last couple fires that we've had. Specifically in the fact, like off of the lane, what started them. I know.
Those, if I remember correctly, both of those were in the California side of things.
Correct.
And you'd have to go through a CAL FIRE for those.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's helpful.
that would not be on us,
Okay.
even though we responded.
Sure. Sure. Okay. That's great.
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
All right.
All right, we will go on to item number 6, which is Reno to Verdi multimodal study. This is an RTC presentation, provide information and updates on the Reno to Verdi multimodal study.
All right, we have Paul Nelson's online is promoting him right now to panelists. Let's see.
Am I up?
You are up.
All right, let me turn on my camera and I'll share my screen.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for attending.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, you guys got me?
Yep.
All right, so my name is Paul Nelson. I'm the Government Affairs Officer at RTC. And back in 2023, we completed the Verdi Area Multimodal Transportation Study. So I'm going to just give you kind of a review of what we did there and kind of what we gathered, what the plans are moving forward. So purpose of the study, conduct a multimodal analysis to identify the quarter gaps. Basically everything transportation-wise we were studying out there, whether it was vehicles, pedestrians, bicycles, or public transit. We were looking at car crashes. We were looking at short and long-term improvements, also looking at things like truck parking. And it was not just Verdi, the roads in Verdi, but also along the I-80 corridor and things like that. So we start off with our planning. We look at everything, and then once we get into designing projects, we get into the environmental design, and then finally we'll do construction. So I'll get to the study limits, like I was saying, I-80, and really those roads you see right there, US 40, Cabela's Drive, South Verdi Road. Those ones we really took a look at for some improvements that we could make there, and we came up with some goals and objectives for it. So first review the existing conditions and then identify where we can make some of those improvements. We got some recommendations. We went out, we talked to the public to find out what residents out there want to see. And the focus for us being the Regional Transportation Commission is to look at the regional roads mostly. We did, study the freeway area, but that is NDOT's jurisdiction. And then, like I mentioned, stakeholder outreach, trying to talk to people and find out what they want to see out here. So what we found with the existing conditions is a lot of significant new developments. The crashes, like you would expect, most of them, 86% were out on Interstate 80. Higher speeds, a lot more traffic compared to in Verdi itself. The traffic growth was more significant at the interchanges. There's limited truck parking on the freeway and at the truck stops and places like that. So what we found is that sometimes there is some spillover where trucks will park along 3rd Street and Verdi Road. We also know that there's a lack of pedestrian connectivity. So sidewalks, crosswalks, flashing beacons, perhaps, things like that, just to make things better for pedestrians to walk around out there. And then we found an opportunity to enhance recreational bicycle access too. And also we found that off-highway vehicles concerns and confusion with regulations also was part of this. So we look at the existing conditions when it comes to speed. You look at most of these, when you look at them, the posted speed limit compared to what people are driving, it is actually lower than the speed limit. When you look at US 40, you can see that people are driving below the speed limit for the most part. Understandably, I-80, people are driving, 5 miles over the speed limit out there. Bridge Street, they're going below the speed limit, but then South Verdi Road, you see that people are going a little bit above the speed limit. So the public outreach and feedback that we did, we went out and we asked, we had a six question survey for people to answer. We had 273 people respond, and the list right there, you can see what their areas of concern were. And speeding was a big one. Verdi Road bus service. We don't have a bus route out in Verdi, but we do have a flex ride area for people. More walkability and bikeability, better freeway access, intersection safety, wildlife concerns, and then no more development. That's not our area. We're not developers. We build roads. So if there is development, we look and see, all right, do we need to adjust our roads out here, whether that's adding capacity or building new roads or what have you. And then, a lot of people, they don't want Verdi to change, leave it alone. So if you look at those two boxes right there on the bottom, you can see the specific locations where people want to see more sidewalks built. And then the one next to it is where they want to see more bike paths and lanes. And you can see some of these answers are similar. US 40 was the top for both of them. Downtown Verdi for better sidewalks and near the school, understandably. Bridge Street, neighborhoods, and Verdi Road. And then if you look at the responses for bike paths, you've got the Bridge Street area, Verdi Road along the river, 4th Street, and near the school. So a lot of overlap. People seem to want better walking and biking facilities in a lot of the same areas. And then if you look at the proposed area improvements for Interstate 80, you've got near-term projects, midterm projects, and long-term projects. So near-term is NDOT is doing some wildlife fencing, removal of the I-80 rumble strips, but also next year, which this is actually in the midterm area, I would guess, when you get down there to widen I-80 Truckee bridges and bridge improvements. In the spring, NDOT does have plans to begin a project to replace 7 bridges on the I-80 corridor. And those bridges are the 2 bridges that go over Mayan, and then over there at 4th Street and Mogul, and then the Mogul interchange, and then the Garson Road Bridge. So that's going to kick off next spring or summer, and NDOT is taking that project. Long term, you look, they do want to widen I-80 to 3 lanes, and then also reconfigure the Gold Ranch interchange and the bridge there. So some of the regional roads where we're looking at proposed improvements, Verdi Road is a big one. And that one right there is, paved with 22 feet, 2 4-foot gravel shoulders. When you drive on that road, you know that on the side, you got the slope on one side, you got a drop off on the other side. So when you look at the different options, option 1, you've got a 2-way roadway, would have 11-foot lanes, 2-foot shoulders. So you would have a guardrail on the north side, and you would have retaining walls on the south side. So it would make the road a lot safer and better for 2-way traffic. The second option is to convert it to a 1-way street and provide a guardrail. It'd be a 10-foot travel lane with an 8-foot shared use path on it. Both of these options would require upgrades to the Union Pacific Railroad and the Bridge Street signal crossing. One of the things you look at with Verdi Road, though, is you can see up there in those first bullet points, only 420 cars per day. So the cost benefit ratio isn't real strong for it. So that's one thing that we will consider going through this. I think this road is in our 10-year plan right now. So we have the regional transportation plan as a 30-year plan. And I think this is up there in the top third of the priorities of the RTP. So it's on our radar. We haven't began doing any kind of design or anything like that yet, but we could see that in the next several years. Other area improvements are the regional roads, like I was talking about with pedestrian bicycles, enhancing the Edinburgh roundabout, providing bicycle ramps to utilize the crosswalks, shared use paths on 3rd Street, Bridge Street, and 3rd Street to the elementary school and to the Verdi Road Railroad crossing. The bridges, 3rd Street over the Truckee, and then the canal on 3rd Street, Crystal P Drive under I-80 as well. One thing I was going to mention about NDOT's project with the bridge replacements, the 7 bridges, the one that they're doing at Garson Road we also have a component of that where we will be putting a divided shared use path on that bridge to make it better for people that want to walk or bike across that bridge. They'll have that facility as well. Other additional improvements could be freight. So RTC, we recently did a freight study about a year ago. Park and rides. Some people out there would love to see some park and rides, maybe at a new Gold Ranch interchange or partner with Boomtown Casino. Better transit, focus on some of the outreach in the Verdi area. Like I mentioned, we do have flex rides. So if you're in that flex ride zone, you can go anywhere within that zone, which it's pretty big. I think it goes all the way to Rancho San Rafael Park. And if you want to go farther than that, they will take you to one of the bus stops to get you where you need to go on a fixed route. And then speed management, reducing the lanes to 11 feet on 3rd Street from exit 2 to exit 5, and continue working with law enforcement to really kind of clamp down on some of the speeding that's happening out there. So this is the proposed area improvements. You can see most of them are right there along I-80, US 40, and then also South Verdi Road. And now I'll pick any questions.
Cameron Graham for the record. Somebody who is facing the large new development, it's sort of just on the other side of the highway, which maybe 2,000 homes is gigantic. Looks like they're building pretty significant two-way road, which will go directly to the on-ramp, just sort of to the east of Gold Ranch. As you're doing project planning for the area, are you looking at how having 2,000 residents in that brand new road shoots a ton of traffic on the eastbound ramp will impact the neighborhood around them?
Yeah, when there is development that happens in there, one thing that's nice in our state is we do have regional road impact fees. So every house that a developer builds, they pay a fee, which right now it's right around $5,000 per unit. And what happens with that money is it goes into a fund and it's strictly used to make infrastructure improvements that are caused because of the development. So if these houses are built or when they're built, that money we could use to improve some of the infrastructure out there. I don't want to talk for NDOT, talking about the off ramps and things like that. That would be more in their scope than it would be mine. Did I answer that?
Sort of. Thank you.
Mr. Nelson, Bob Lord, member of the board for giving me instruction. As to the regional fees that you just mentioned, is that analysis done on a project specific basis, or is that a countywide fee? So that is there an analysis of the regional impact of each project? And is there a requirement that the developer mitigate their direct impacts, including regional impacts?
I was having a hard time hearing you. My dog is stomping around over here. Can you repeat the two main points that you had?
Yes. We're talking about regional impacts, and you mentioned that there is a regional fee. When I bring in 1,000 unit, 2,000 unit development, that's going to have regional traffic impacts, is there a traffic study that gets specific as to those impacts? And then is the developer required to mitigate those impacts, or is it limited to a $5,000 per lot fee?
Yeah. So when we do these, anytime we do any kind of capacity upgrades or things like that, we do traffic studies on those. We also have to go through an environmental process, and then there's also right-of-way acquisitions and things like that. So yeah, there's always, we make sure that we've got the data in place before we go in and we do these types of things.
And at what point is the traffic impact being paid?
At what point is the traffic impact fee that you pay?
Okay. When does the developer pay the traffic impact?
I think it's part of their permit fees. One of their fees that that they have to pay when they do their development, that's when they pay that. And then that money, whatever it is, 5,000, 5,200, whatever it is right now, that goes to RTC.
Okay, thank you, sir.
More questions? I got one.
Wait,
When was the survey sent out? And who was it sent to? You're being asked when the survey was sent out and who it was sent out to.
So the study was completed in 2023. I'm thinking it was probably like about a year-long study, so it would have been in the 2022, 2023 timeframe when the survey was sent out. And we sent it to people in the Verdi area specifically.
By email? We actually had a couple of pop-ups where they just went to like Outlaw Cafe and you could go and they had tablets for you to actually do it right there. I don't recall actually receiving an email, but I could be incorrect on that. It's been too long, but. I remember the outcome. Yeah. I have several questions, if you don't mind, Paul Curly Borchard for the record. Specifically, we've been given this presentation a couple times now over the years, and we haven't received a new presentation in over a year, probably more like a year and a half. So I appreciate being here tonight. My specific questions are, where are we at with the process? Because the last time that it was presented, we were told that it still needed to go before Washoe County. It still needed to go before regional. It still needed to go before City of Reno. Because there's so many jurisdictions involved with our road network, it needed separate presentations to those jurisdictions, but that's where it died. So I have no idea what the status is. Have you guys presented to Washoe County and what were their responses? Have you presented to City of Reno? What were their responses, etc.?
I would have to ask our planner. So Xuan Wang is the one that was in charge of this study. Being that we did this 2 years ago, I'm assuming that I know that the RTC board knows all about it. I would assume that we've already taken it to the other jurisdictions, but I can't promise you that. But being that it was 2 years ago, I'm sure that we have.
I would really love to get that information because that's kind of where we're at. That's the stick in the mud. My understanding was it also needed to go before NDOT. Because they do have certain jurisdiction over a number of these roads as well. The last time it was presented, there was some confusion in regards to South Verdi Road and ownership of certain sections. So having a more thorough explanation of that would be ideal for me. Additionally,
Is that with Reno and Washoe County? Others?
yes.
Okay.
For anybody that has any say in it, I would like to hear what their feedback is. I'll just be transparent here. My big concern is that the two options that are being presented for South Verdi Road, one is a feasible option, one is not. So I want to make sure that if there needs to be community input here, we don't want a one-way. We want that road improved. These fees need to go towards improvements. Additionally, I've really been following this closely, not only this multimodal study, but also the development, which is called Santerra Quilisi, which is what we were just referring to a moment ago with Cameron. That project is only doing roads up to existing roads, which is the South Verdi Road going east and Crystal Park Road going to the west. Crystal Park Road cannot handle the traffic that's going to be generated from that project. Period, end of story. And you have on your list there the Crystal Peak Bridge there. You've got a picture of it in your presentation. That one in particular, I can show you videos of trucks almost taking out pedestrians, almost taking out vehicles. It is an incredibly unsafe turn. And we're talking hundreds of new cars coming down that narrow roadway with this development. Having said that, and saying that I have been following this, I really fought hard for them to try to extend their improvements out from their project, which is what their responsibility is, past that into South Verdi Road. And they said no, but I'm looking at what they're doing right now, and they are actually doing some improvements. So I think it's really a matter of getting the responsible parties together and having the discussion. But I really feel strongly that the public is kind of being, I don't know the right word, ostracized. We're being left out. We have no idea what's happening. We're not being given any updates. We're not included in the conversations whatsoever. And my concern saying that is with sidewalks and with the connectability. You know, that's where I feel that our community can really garner some support and help you guys with that, because it could get really ugly really quick. You know, we don't want 1,500 lights going down our roads, which is what's going to be required with certain, you know, you put in sidewalks, you've got to have street lights. You're going to change our entire characteristic, which I know was one of the important parts of that survey that was done 2 years ago. We want to retain some of this character of our community. And we don't want it just changed based off of a study that was done and votes that are being had that we're not being privy to. So that's my spiel. I'm sorry to take so much time with it, but it takes me a moment to articulate some of my points.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, with the study, we did go out and get community feedback. We haven't gone out to get more feedback because we don't have a project right now. Once we get to, let's say the South Verdi Road, once we get to that project, there will be a lot of outreach. We will want to hear from the community because it is your community. We want to hear what you guys want this road to be. And, you know, if you guys don't want a one-way, we want to know that. And if we want to widen it, make it safer, put the retaining walls and guardrails, we want to hear that too. So as we get closer to when we do some projects out there, we'll definitely be involved with the community out there to find out what you guys want.
One more follow-up question and comment. I would like to thank you because the near term and midterm improvements that have been done have been phenomenal. The wildlife fencing was a great improvement. I know some of the on-ramps were extended. You guys, everything that you touched was an improvement and a great improvement, but most of those were done on I-80, not within our road network.
Yeah.
My question would be, looking at some of your numbers, we're looking at 2021 figures, granted, because that's when most of the work was done. Is there any anticipation of updating those numbers based off of today's figures?
I will have to check with our planning department on that. I don't know if we have anything scheduled like in the next few years out there, but with more development happening out there and we get closer to doing some of the improvements that we outlined in the study, then that's where we will be doing, you know, getting more up-to-date numbers.
And might I add, it's not the 2025 numbers that matter, but it's the 2030 numbers.
Sure.
Because if we're building infrastructure for 2030, these 2025 numbers be like giving 12-year-old, you know, measuring 12-year-old clothes, giving it to them when they're 16.
Right.
Nothing will fit.
That's very, very true.
And so it, you know, if you look at that same 15-year-old that took the measurements when they were 9, it even fit less.
And Paul, I'd be happy. I know that's not really your guys' responsibility or job per se, but I'd be happy to send you a little summary email of what developments we've got coming down the pipeline and when, if that helps at all. You know, I know that it's a bit of a guessing game as to there's mathematical equations that are done based off of population increases. But I think based off of those numbers, you'll really understand where my concern lies for South Verdi Road and Crystal Park Road. Because we're talking a 400% increase in traffic on that road in particular.
Mhm.
And that's not made up numbers. That's for their estimates. So my goal personally is to fix Garson Road. Because again, I've got photos and videos of cars going off of that road every single year, going off the cliff. There's actually a car, I'm happy to even give you a tour of some of this, some of the issues that we've got. But there's even a car that's been abandoned. And then additionally, the South Verdi Road congestion points that are a big concern.
Mhm. Yeah, I would love it if you would send me, if you want to send me that email, and then I can share that with our staff.
Not a problem.
Mhm.
I have one more question on South Verdi Road. Now, why is it they only pay, when you're going up to Cabela's?
Well, that's why
They only pay, oh, okay, because it's so nice, right out bike and then, why did they stop?
But then it's the city of Reno, it's the different jurisdictions, and that's what they were kind of mapping out. They were actually still researching the last presentation, exactly who owned what portion and who was responsible for each portion. But the newly paid is specifically Washoe County. You can see it right to where their responsibility ends.
Just go up that hill every day on our bikes and we can be, why could they have done the whole thing?
I hear ya.
We have Susan Walls is online.
Okay,
Susan, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thank you. I have a couple of questions and one comment. So my first question is on the early part of your presentation, I think it was maybe page 3 or 4 when you have the traffic study. So when you listed US 40, it showed a speed limit of 45 miles an hour, and it is 45 miles an hour at either, but in the middle, I believe it's what, 35? So I'm kind of curious how come that's not shown.
I don't know. I'll have to check with Schwinn on that. They might have just got the traffic numbers from that 45-mile-an-hour area and not the 35.
Okay, makes sense, because my experience has been that people frequently speed in the lower speed limit, which makes it pretty unsafe because that's where all of the restaurants and businesses are in that area. So then my second question has to do with the bridge on Garson Road over the freeway. Do you know when NDOT has that scheduled for widening, and is it going to be 2 lanes each way in addition to the pedestrian lane?
Yeah, that's part of that project that starts next spring. And
Okay.
that bridge will have I think it'll be 2 lanes, and then there's going to be a divider between the traffic lanes and the multi-use path.
Okay, great.
And if you guys want to, you guys might already have this, but NDOT has a website for that project. It's called i80bridges.com.
Oh,
And you can
great.
look that up for some information on that too.
Okay, and I understand they're also going to put a traffic light in there to the north side of the casino, which would be great because so many people run that stop sign there. And I've seen a lot of near misses at that intersection. And if you're not alert, I mean, you could get T-boned pretty easily.
I think if I remember right, there is a stoplight that's going to go in.
Okay, perfect. And that's
Yeah.
concurrent with the bridge widening?
I think so. I think that if I'm getting this right, we are partnering with NDOT on that bridge. So it's NDOT's bridge, but we're partnering with them because of the multimodal part of it. And
Okay.
I don't know if it's us that's handling the traffic signal or if that's NDOT doing that as well.
Okay, thanks. I did send him an email a couple of weeks ago and I got an acknowledgement that they received it, but they never responded, so maybe they're just bogged down. And then my comment, I live in Meridian 120 North, and I have the pleasure of looking over South Verdi Road. And I can tell you that in my instance, I'm reticent to use that road, even though it's very convenient, because it is so unsafe. It's horrible.
Mhm.
And with, bicycles using it and pedestrians and having it be so narrow, it's treacherous. It shouldn't be because it's not really that steep, but it's also an escape route in case there's a fire. And it's very difficult to use. So I will be very happy to provide my input when that comes up on the docket.
Yep, and we will, like for instance, right now we're planning on doing another public meeting for our Lemon Drive project. And we've done some pop-up meetings, like she was mentioning, some pop-up meetings at, outside of a gas station or outside of a restaurant or something like that. We'll be doing the same types of things once we get to that point with South Verde Road too.
Okay, and what's the notification mechanism for that? Is that the same as for these meetings?
No, so we send out mailers. We send out, depends on if people are on the email list. We possibly, like one of our projects right now, we've got text alerts, so you can sign up for those. None of those are in place right now for that, so I can't promise which ones we'll do, but we definitely try to get the word out to as many people as possible. We'll send a
Okay,
press release to the news agencies, all that stuff, and we'll put it on social media. We'll try to keep everyone in the know.
okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Great questions and comments, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for the presentation, I appreciate it, but I just want to ask one question with the South Florida vote. Do you have any timeline on when we might be seeing that come to the front of the docket, when people might be discussing that more? Because I would like to echo what everyone else is thinking and saying. I even took it on the way in here just to see it. And when two cars come on that road, it's dangerous. And I mean, a Carly can echo it, people fall off it every year. And wait till a school bus with these new developments decides to go that route and is told to go there. It's just worrisome. I know that's people's number one priority out there. Just gauging. So that's question number one. Just when do you think that might be seen?
So the only timeline I can really give you right now is that it is in that 10-year time frame. So the way things really work is we've got our 30-year window. Well, I guess it's 25-year window because we have everything out till 2050. Once we get down to that 5-year time frame, we will put that into the RTIP, which is the 5-year plan. And that's the regional, I think it's the Regional Transportation Implementation Program. So that's when we're actually getting down, all right, we got 5 years now, we'll start doing the design and the studies and the environmental and all that stuff. Once we get down to that 2-year area, that's when we go to the cities and the counties and get our interlocal cooperative agreement in place. So we are not in that 5-year window yet. So we're somewhere between that 5 and 10-year point. Now, sometimes we'll have something that might be later on, but priorities might change depending on things like development. So even something that might be in the RTP that we're thinking maybe 20 years down the road, that could jump up depending on some of the things that make some changes for us. Development's a big thing. So when we need to add capacity, that might jump up on the priority list. Right now, I don't know what Verdi is going to look like after the development in 5, 10 years. So, but once we get to that point, we'll definitely have you guys involved.
There's two more questions I'll be quick with this one, but piggybacking off that, you were saying, oh, sorry, I'll speak up a little louder. How could something be pushed up, seeing as we need it? I'm just wondering, how do you select what gets pushed up?
That comes down to our planning department, and a lot of times what happens with that is there's a lot of factors. Do we have the funding for it? Is is the need really, how big is the need right there, especially as development comes in? Are there available grants for it? So there's a lot of different factors, right of way acquisitions. How soon can we get the right of way acquired before we can start building and things like that. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. But that would probably be something more for the planning department.
Okay, perfect. The last one, this might fall into someone else's purview, but on Kings Road, McCarran, that's right at the end of our district. That wooden fence right in that intersection, someone blows right into it, every 6 months. I'm just wondering, do you have any, studies on that, any ways to mitigate that? Cause I'm just worried some kid's gonna be in that backyard who's gonna get flattened down, or someone's gonna be sleeping in their bedroom in the car.
What intersection did you say that is?
At Kings Row and McCarran.
Oh, Kings Row and McCarran. So that one, no, Keystone, we just put the traffic signal in. I'll have to check with that one.
May I piggyback on that conversation a little bit as well? I think that's really where my question stemmed from, looking at the numbers and when those might be updated, because you're looking at about 420 trips in 2021 on South Verdi Road. We've got Meridian 120 North that's now established, and we've got the Kalan Apartments, which are now established. So those two developments alone are utilizing that have both been built. I might be misspeaking on Meridian, but both of them have really come online since the study was initially done. So that's one of my big concerns, is that we're not looking at the priority level of that particular road as these developments are coming online. But like I mentioned, I will email you and give you some of the statistics, because it's a little jarring. And I, the Garson overpass was one of those projects that was fast tracked because of the need for those improvements now. It was out on the 2030 plan, I want to say, initially, and they bumped it up to be on schedule for this coming spring. So I do know it's possible, but if we need to come to the planning commission and make a presentation, happy to do so.
Yep, I will pass this on and see what our plan is with getting those updated counts. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention too, when it comes to prioritization, is the high injury network. So like if we see more crashes than we should for a certain road, that also tends to bump things up on the priority level. So safety is always a big part of it too.
They go crashing your cars tonight. Okay, I think we have one more question and we'll.
Yes, Paul, Matt Rossi for the record. Would you appreciate whatever you can do to carry this information on to the powers to be? But it's also, we could maybe support you by going to the RTC Commission, which is the third Friday of each month at 9 o'clock, am I correct? And address these things to get support while you're addressing it too. So might be something for these people to consider.
One more question from Bob Lori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob Lori, Mr. Nelson. I have somewhat of a I have somewhat of a land use background from the other side of the mountain, and it's handled a little bit differently. And so one's analysis comes in two parts. If a development has traffic analyzed and impacts are determined to exist from current circumstances, that is different than the impacts created by the new development. Is the analysis done within the county and within the state rule? Does it recognize the difference, and does the development pay fully for to mitigate the impacts on the impacts created by that particular project? Is there full mitigation by the developer on the developer's impact?
Not necessarily. So they pay that fee per housing unit. And the way it goes is it goes into two buckets. One of them is any development north of I-80 goes into a bucket that would improve roads that are north of I-80. And then we've got another bucket for anything south of I-80, and that goes into a bucket. So as we find these projects that we need to improve capacity because of development, we might take some money from that, say Verdi, that bucket north of I-80, we could use that money to pay for that project. We could also supplement it with some of the fuel tax dollars or get a federal grant, things like that. So that's another thing that I should point out is like, let's say the developer here in Verdi is paying 5,000 a unit for all the houses. That doesn't mean that that is going to improve the infrastructure in Verdi. It could improve the infrastructure in North Valleys, because you've got this one bucket. So it's really, that comes down to where do they see the biggest need for capacity improvements?
So the problem ends up being if that money, which is probably insufficient, is spent elsewhere, then who pays for the necessary mitigation within Verdi? It's the current residents, and that ain't right. So that's going to be the concerns from current residents that you're going to hear about.
Mhm.
And for the record, Cameron Kramer, ChatGPT thinks that the Center Wilshire development brought 17,000 daily trips to local roads. 17,000, not 400.
It was 400% increase from where it is. If you add that 17,000 daily trips to the current daily trips, it's a 400% increase. Which
I
is,
said there were 420 in Parsons.
that's on South Verdi Road going up.
Oh, okay.
Different numbers.
Still 17,000 is a lot of cars.
It is, it's tremendous for
It's
that.
like the Ace of States.
And which road is 17,000 on?
That's on the Crystal Park Road and South Verdi Road. That's where the intersection comes out. Their secondary access road comes out from Santera, Quilisi. But please mind you, that is a secondary access, so that will also encompass, they anticipate, some of the Meridian 120 South development as well, which is directly across from Boomtown on the south side of I-80. So
Okay.
that entire development could potentially use that secondary access, not just Garson Road. It depends on where they're going. Are they taking their kids to school? Because they're not going to jump on the freeway, and if they do, they're getting off on exit 3 to get on South Verdi Road. Somehow they're going to affect South Verdi Road from whatever direction they're coming from.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, well, I think,
I have one quick question. It was brought up, I'm sorry, my name's Brian White, Verdi. As far as the Verdi Bridge at Gold Ranch, the overpass there, I'm sorry, you brought it at the very beginning, but you did not put a time frame on, if I recall. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a time frame for that. That's another NDOT project. I do know that they do eventually also plan on widening the bridges that go over the Truckee River out there.
Uh-huh.
That'll probably go along with when they widen I-80 to 3 lanes in each direction. So I don't know. I can't give you the timeline.
Yeah, I was looking at the Verdi multimodal study report. In your opinion, would you say near term and midterm is between 0 and 5 years? And
It kind of seems that way because
would be
the
5 to 10.
at least 5. I don't know if it's 5 to 10. NDOT's got so many projects and most of their funding goes to Clark County. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But being that some of the midterm priorities that we had in that presentation are already set to happen next year. I would assume it's probably like that 3 to 6 year time frame.
Yeah, and, as far as like the money in the pot get moved here, get moved there, in your opinion, probably a lot won't happen right now, but the minute this development, the new development gets done, like in the next year or so, and all of a sudden overnight the need is there, at that time, a new study would be for us to recommend and push for, and we might get bumped up to the front of the line and actually see some of that money out of that pot.
It's possible. They do the regional road impact fees. I'm not sure. There is a scoring system on how they use that. But if that money is used somewhere else, then we've also got the local fuel taxes. The local fuel taxes overwhelmingly pay for our roads. So we do have different buckets of money that we could possibly use for it.
Thank you.
But things do go slower than we would like. I'll tell you that.
We all know.
Yep.
We've got another question.
Well, Mac Russell for the record again, and I'm sure this is probably the first time you've been asked this, but there's an awful lot of electric cars out there on the road that don't pay any road tax at all. Is there any
Yeah.
future soon? Because I understand that electric cars even weigh more, which makes more wear and tear on our streets. While we're paying people that are using fuel are paying at least 16 cents a gallon. Electric vehicles are paying free. Is there anything coming up in the future, or is this something that's set way aside?
We are hoping that in the next legislative session, the state will take this they'll have a bill on this. Last session, just a few months ago, they didn't even bring a bill forward. And part of the reason was because I think 2 years ago, they did pass a bill that was going to do something in terms of a flat fee when you register your electric vehicle. Governor Lombardo vetoed that. And then they brought it back this time, and it sounded like he was going to work with them, but they never ended up bringing that bill forward. So whether Governor Lombardo gets reelected or if we have a new governor next time, we are still hoping that we can work with the legislature to get some kind of funding mechanism in, because I mean, I think last I saw there was like 35,000, 40,000 electric vehicles on the roads, maybe more than that by now. So, and like you said, if you're driving a standard vehicle, you're paying to use the roads, whereas the EV drivers aren't. So we're trying to push the legislature to do something about it. And that's going a lot slower than we've been hoping to. And they only meet every other year or so.
Not a very popular subject.
I'm sorry, what? Not a very what?
Maybe hear you.
He said he thinks it's probably not a very popular subject, but thank you for your response. All right, do you have any other questions? I don't see any hands raised. Thank you again, Paul. I really appreciate you coming out or taking the time to present to us and hearing our feedback.
Yep, no problem. And I always try to do the rounds every spring at the cabs and the nabs to let everyone know what's coming up in the upcoming construction season. So I'll probably see you guys in a few months.
You have to fill out any form for
Well, yeah, we would appreciate that.
No.
Come back, we would appreciate the feedback.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you. All right, we will move along on the agenda. Here.
My apologies if anybody had a car there.
Here you under the bus.
I'll be leaving last.
You already looked at her. All right, moving on to item number 7, which is the neighborhood development hub and other engagement opportunities.
Sure, let me pull this up. So the only thing coming up that I saw, it's an all district development coming on September 24th. And it sounded like it was just a change, what's it called? Small housing and infill development, DCA community workshop, all districts. There's a Zoom link there. I don't quite understand it further than that. But it's there if you want to listen and maybe learn something or not. If you want further questions, I'm happy to reach out to the developers. It's like planner is Kat Oakley, so happy to reach out if you want questions.
Right.
I have nothing else.
I'm going to circle back if you don't mind. Did you have a presentation or something that you wanted to share, or are you just here to see us?
The height of excitement.
We know this is a raging party, but we're watch out. Yeah.
Lieutenant Nick Tone, Washoe County Sheriff's Office. Just the usual. I gave a presentation on the stats last month, but nothing specific to the West Truckee area cab. Just more generally speaking, the Sheriff's Office, we just sent out a press release. We just made an arrest on a sort of high-profile homicide that we had out in Sun Valley. I don't think there was much more going on, but if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer any question you guys have, be it traffic, crime, cases that I can't comment on, or whatever you guys have.
Well, we're glad that we don't have any murder suspects running around, but I think our bigger issue, and I'm just not sure whose jurisdiction this falls in, so I'm just gonna ask the question. We get some abandoned cars out here quite often, and we're never quite sure, A, who to call, how to report that. And then lastly, one of the abandoned vehicles was in an easement. So nobody could do anything and it just sat there for months. Fortunately, it's gone now, but.
So there's two pieces. First one, I was recently in charge of abandoned vehicles. That has since been transferred to a new lieutenant. Either way, what if you have an abandoned car, there's two ways to go about it. First is either call a non-emergency number and we'll send a patrolman out. That's obviously a priority call, but at some point we'll come out throughout the shift and we'll look at it, determine what we can do about it right now, or more often than not, it's going to be posted, which goes into a spreadsheet with the front office or the workers at the front desk. We call them Frank units, F for front desk. And they will put on their sheet, and 72 hours later, they'll go check on it if it hasn't moved at all. And then we can tow it and get rid of it. So that's the simplest way. Unfortunately, with abandoned vehicles, there's often a lot of caveats to include. Is it an eyesore, but is it on private property? Almost nothing we can do about that.
Right.
Unless it's a hazard and it's something that we can send over to code enforcement and maybe get creative with that. We have done that before too in Sun Valley. We sent code enforcement out to actually manage to remove abandoned vehicles that were a hazard and had some kind of county code violation associated with it. So that is something we can do. We can at least send them out there to take a look at it if it is on private property or in a spot where we don't have the authority to tow it. That is something we can at least have them take a look at. That's not a problem at all. But you can either make that phone call to non-emergency, or if you go on the sheriff's office website, or 311, it all comes to the same place. They'll send the 311, we'll send that to us to disseminate to our deputies. Or if you make a report on washoesheriff.com, that will also get disseminated to the same people. 3 different methods, it'll all come to the same place. We'll disseminate it down to our patrolmen to take a look at, take care of, and see what we can do about it. But of course, the county's big, so we do rely on citizens to be our eyes and ears, especially if the abandoned vehicle isn't necessarily on a major thoroughfare that we travel through a lot.
Sure.
But we'll absolutely come take a look at it.
Okay, great.
Now, most of ours are on South Verdi Road, you know, all those motorhomes that get dropped off. Is that the railroad property?
I'd have to
Right on that?
Well,
It is.
What we'll do as part of coming out is in our cars, we have jurisdictional maps that will show us where we're at and we can talk to dispatch, so we can also take a look and determine it. Sometimes it is the railroad, much like we have a frequent problem with that. If you're heading out to Cold Springs and you look off to the left, just past the Red Rock exit, a lot of that is railroad property. People abandon cars right next to the railroad. That is something for them to take care of. Or we'll see if it's Reno PD, because we also know that Reno's a great deal of the property for the new neighborhoods and whatnot. And we'll also determine if it's the state. If it's a state, we will take that call and send it over to NHP to come take a look at it. We'll take care of that. So we'll shoot that call for service over, have them go take a look at the car, put that on the radar. Once we come out, and we will be happy to come out and determine whose jurisdiction it actually is.
Looking at some of the neighborhood lines,
Mhm.
it appears that one of the new things among the teenagers is at midnight, going out and locking their doors and who lives in Langdale West Commission extraordinarily well on very, very comfortable. We're looking tragedies just waiting to happen. Does your office see this trend as an issue? If so, anybody going into the schools to talk about it?
Well, I can give you an example. Right now, we're having an issue out in what we call 4-Beat, which is Spanish Springs. We're having an issue with the juveniles right now, and their issue with them is these e-bikes running amok and full-on vandalism, throwing rocks at moving cars, throwing rocks through windows of new developments, things of that nature. So the way we handle these situations is we have a model called stratified policing. We've been using it for a few years now. And the way that works is when you make a call for service, you see kids doing this, you call in essentially what is going to be a nuisance kind of a call. Unless there's an associated damage with it, then it's going to be a destruction of property, which is criminal in nature. Those will all be tracked, and every Wednesday, command staff, so I'm part of that group, we will go in and the watch commanders from the various shifts will talk about these crimes and we'll make a plan to address these issues and see if we can get them to stop. The way we've done it over in Spanish Springs is, besides additional enforcement, camera trailers, things of that nature to dissuade people from doing these things, we will send a deputy into the school to do and work with school police and essentially do like a sort of like a PSA. This is what's going on, this is what can happen, and put it on the radar. And typically that shot across the bow is enough to get kids to go. Those shenanigans are a little hot right now, so they usually stop. But that's usually where we're going to start. But if you have, everybody has cameras nowadays. If somebody's running up, causing a nuisance, especially the new one is they're running up and they're hitting a door as hard as they can, which sometimes causes damage, and then they flee. We're going to go canvass the area. We're going to get footage from your neighbors. We're going to see if we can figure out who it is, because it is a juvenile doing it. So they're going to be part of the juvenile justice system. So essentially what we go out is, even if there isn't an associated destruction of property, we can still cite kids for being incorrigible. There's other things we can do as juveniles to give them a juvenile referral and try to solve the problem before it comes into something much bigger. It becomes a bigger issue, or like you said, some kind of tragedy happens, and nobody wants that.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Of course.
Joel Watson down here. Just a quick question on 4th Street by the Truckee River Rock. I think that's the name of the rock. We've been having a problem. I know multiple neighbors around there have been calling it in. We haven't seen much of a change. There's homeless individuals living out by the river and the bushes out there. And this would probably have been good to bring up by the fire, but they've been lighting fires and we know they're there. You see a plume of smoke in the morning.
Yeah.
And just wondering where we should be calling that in. I mean, we've been calling, I don't see much of a change. I'm just kind of wondering.
So specifically to a fire, it's going to be handled in 2 ways.
Yeah.
One, fire is going to respond, and fire does have the authority to issue citations for illegal burns and things of that nature. Often we will go as well, just because they don't know what they're walking into. In terms of the homeless issue, we have county, Reno, as well as Sparks. We all have what we're referring to as HOPE teams that work together. They do a count every year. They're the ones that go to these homeless camps. They either clear them out, they go there, they give out services, and we try to get them over to the CARES campus and essentially try to give a long-term problem a solution, where we try to get people into permanent housing and also make contact with and try to address the individuals who are resource resistant, which a lot of people are, unfortunately. So we try to push that. We keep tabs on them, and we can issue the citations we need to, the illegal camping citations, the illegal fires, things of that nature, and we can try to solve the problem. But pretty much, unless there's a serious crime associated with it, any homeless issue, please let us know, and then we can give that to the appropriate HOPE team. Right now, we have our new HOPE sergeant and 2 new deputies, I believe, has been assigned to it, but they have the resources. It is all they do. They will go out and they will make contact with those camps and try to come up with a solution. Best example is when you were heading out of town towards USA Parkway, and you used to look off to the right over there. There's a huge camp over there by the railroad tracks. That was addressed in Hamilton. It's no longer there. So, and a lot of those people are over at the CARES campus, and we have taken a number and got them into transitional housing and more permanent situations to actually solve the problem. So those are things we can do. That's the most base level we can do. But if you call those in and let us know, a lot of the homeless individuals may not be from here. Maybe we never made contact. They just hopped off the train. Maybe they came in on a bus. Who knows? But making that initial contact is going to, with our team, is going to be the first step in actually trying to solve the problem. So please let us know.
Just follow up on that.
Yeah.
On that same road, when you go up above the river, even behind the median, there's an individual that's been living there for a good 3 years. Yeah, he lives at the, but I was just wondering, I know he's been called many a time.
Yeah.
I've seen police officers out there. I guess you can only give them information on going to the first campus, or
To a point. So there's certain things, there's certain laws that have been passed for urban camping, things of that nature, and there's certain places where you cannot camp. There's caveats I can go into all over the place. Like, for instance, if the shelter is full, you cannot go arrest somebody for camping. So there's a whole bunch of caveats to it. However, when we make those contacts, we keep tabs on them. If there isn't anything explicitly illegal that they're doing, we can essentially just keep going out there trying to offer services and trying to solve the problem. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not, but it's a process.
He likes his spot.
I guess so.
No, he hasn't been there the past week, so we've been worried about him. See him every time he's on to town.
Part.
Or any, I live over in Mobile. And at one time we had, this has been maybe a year ago. We had guys in there, dirt cars racing from the next exit over, which you would not drive on the freeway, and then coming through Mobile, doing the loop-de-loop, and then heading back. Well, now it appears that, again, around midnight, they might be using 4th Street. Because I'm seeing the remnants of tire treads that go to the stop sign, you know, where the entrance is, going westbound. Okay, it crisscrosses over, back and forth several times, and then it appears to shoot back to 4th Street.
Sure.
I've seen that. And about that time is when I usually drive off to sleep.
Sure.
And this is wrong.
Totally fair.
So, I know you guys have a dispatch number that I don't know if it's published somewhere. I had it in our last incident.
Oh yeah, it's on all.
For a long time.
So the best thing you can do is, yes, call that number. And this is part of our 6B, if you will. So we have a deputy assigned to 6B. We have a couple 8, which are all of our south units. So our south units will be responsible for coming out here and doing any kind of additional enforcement. Now, if there's something that happens regularly at exactly the same time, that makes it easy. So we're going to come out and we'll post units, and we can do like, yeah, and we can do like more of an operation and go so we can actually solve it. In terms of additional enforcement, putting out some camera trailers with the red and blues or the speed trailers, because the speed trailers also have LPRs, so license plate readers. So we can also start to get a determination on who's doing it, or if there's just simple shenanigans, or if there's something nefarious going on. We don't know until we make contact. But that is something that we could probably be proactive about. And
you can hear it coming probably from Rock Drive.
yeah,
So I have plenty of time to pick up my phone.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is Barb again.
Yeah. And that'll just allow us to be ready for us. So I can look up
Right.
the area through our CAD system and see when the calls are coming in, try to get an actual timeline. And then we can actually get some people over there, see proactive about it. Maybe it's the same people, maybe it's not. But nonetheless, word gets out very quickly once you start enforcement action.
Well, there is a drift club.
Few parts of town. But
Yes. And they do meet on a regular basis. And somebody in my family used to be.
Okay, so I had 2 more questions. You've answered one of them, which was in regards to the camps and how that new regulation and laws who are working for you guys. The other thing I wanted to mention, just because you brought it up, is the CARES campus. I was fortunate enough to get a tour of the facility through the Washoe County Leadership Academy. And I just wanted to mention it for the board members and the audience. It is phenomenal. The resources that they have available for our homeless population is incredible. To his point, a lot of them are resource resistant, which means they're happy with where they're at. But the fact that this is available to them and what a phenomenal facility. I mean, walking in, I was really nervous, thinking, what am I doing here? I don't belong. Everybody was so kind. I felt so comfortable throughout the entire tour and getting a real feel for not only what they have on site, but the resources that they can bring in. It's phenomenal. If you guys get the opportunity to support them or take it for yourself, I highly, highly encourage it.
Absolutely.
All right, do we have any other comments, questions, concerns?
Oh, we've got a couple of announcements. One is the water pump station.
Well, let's let this gentleman go.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So very, she just didn't want you to go. There's so much going on. I just didn't want to make him stand here for the rest of the meeting. And we do, this is actually item 8, so you can take the
I
floor.
wanted to do, before that, I want to do the neighborhood development here. So that the folks are aware, I made a comment, I made a couple comments, the last meeting were to the crowd, which was those two folks up there. Thank you for doubling me. That was amazing that, there were more people making presentations here, I think there was 6 or 7. And there was just us and these two folks over here. And I thought it was a crying shame that much information coming out and not being able to share it. I have made a comment that part of what they took away from this cab was developments, and they moved it to another department. 2 weeks, within the last 2 weeks, the county had a state of the county addressed to the county, and it was the commissioners there. And I was at there, and they told me comment to Commissioner Hill, who was also here, that they're concerned about whether the cabs are dying or not, because there's not a lot of attendance. And part of it is, and I brought to their attention, was that you took away the developments. The cab is for people that are concerned with the developments around here. What's going on, what's happening, how come the building's over there, how come there isn't, which we do get a lot of. And she made note of it, and then after the meeting, she came up to me and said she was going to address, find out what's going on. She isn't on today, is she?
No.
No. And I'd like to be able to bring this, as far as a comment, to her attention, that I want to see her follow through. We need to get the developments back to whether we can just get input into it. You got a whole bunch on the other side. You got this one over Highway 40 that there was a lot of conflict. It was addressed, and they got a meeting together at Del Webb Development, and they had over 35 people that were complaining about the new one that's coming in that middle field over there off of Highway 40. So I'm hoping we can get something going. I would also like to see Casey, this gentleman here, if he can allocate time, because they're really cutting back in the county, that we can go ahead and go through zip codes. You were kind enough to send me the zip codes, which was just overwhelming for me, so I wasn't sure. Where we can start addressing the homeowners in our area to say, a lot of people don't even know what a cab is. They think it's something like a taxi or something. And so let them know, these are what's going out there. If you can address the homeowners, these are people that are concerned about their own little area, and we can maybe expand it just to air. So I am following through. I hope we're going to get somewhere on this, but I think we need to get these developments at least back into here, whether we can put input or just hear what's going on or what we can do. I think it's only fair for us to be able to address them. So I wanted to let you know that I wasn't just blowing my horn for a few minutes, so I am working. on it. I hope that some of the cabins.
Because there's so many rumors going around.
Yes, exactly. We had an issue that one development, as you're coming in on Highway 40, I don't want to hold up the meeting here, but the first roundabout, I forget the name of the development. At the meeting that they had over at Somerset, they were complaining that people lived across the street weren't able to use the park that is in there, so they would bring their kids over there. And the owner of that, who did that development is now working on the letter and said, well, I didn't have any choice on it. This is the actual owner, said that I donated it to the city. And the city did what they want, and they designated it back to the development, so the only people that could use it is development. He
The new
used the
park?
word-
The new part they just put down on the river?
No, this is the one inside.
Inside New York, I about
Yeah.
it, in
Because there's-
West Meadows.
There's a sign out there that said for
Just resident, you got it.
resident.
And
Which it
he
was
said
supposed to be from
he said
the
he donated it to the city, and the city donated it back to the development.
It was
That was-
always meant to be for the town of Verdi to. For the Peak Park to other.
Because he spoke.
I'm on the Parks Commission for the city of Reno.
Okay.
And that was false. He never did donate it to the city whatsoever. He left it within the development. So these are the kind of things I think we need to know.
At the meeting with Fitzgerald?
Yeah,
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 yeah, he just kind of picked down.
Yeah.
yeah. He was absolutely not correct in what he was saying. So
So just one more thing I would like to piggyback on your comments with. The unfortunate part here is that all of the development in Verdi, the city of Reno, we are within the sphere of influence. So there is not one development project now or any time in the future that's going to come up to Washoe County through the cap. It is all 100% city of Reno. And unfortunately, I agree 100% and I support this effort. I think that it's worth a conversation with our commissioner that great, good and fine, it's city of Reno development and this is what's going on. But this is where we have the opportunity to discuss. This is where we have the opportunity to give feedback. This is where we have the opportunity for the public to have a voice. So I feel very strongly as well. I'm just wanting to make sure that it's put on the record that because they are city of Reno developments, that's why we are not seeing them. It's not because we don't want them on our agenda or we're scared to touch them. It's that according to Washoe County regulations, we are not discussing city of Reno projects.
even though Reno has encompassed us into this area, so.
Yeah.
But I think both Carly and I were both on the neighborhood.
Used to be able to, right? I mean,
No, not in the cap.
why am I-
Well, because I was able to get the two to have combined meetings for several years, which was a combination between the CAT and the NAP. And the purpose behind it
Yes,
was
they didn't think of the
exactly
NAP.
this, was to be able to bring all encompassing issues to one table. Rather than, oh, well, if you go to the NAP meeting on the second Tuesday of the month and you come here every other month, you might learn something.
Well, Carly and I were both on the NAP for many years, and we got developments coming in. And it wouldn't even require the city to have the developers come to our NAP. I mean, the county, if you work within the county, they have their own individual situation where any developments that come in, if it's under the county jurisdiction, everybody has to get together.
It has to go through the net neighborhood
Yeah,
development.
everybody has to be on the same page before that development moves on. The neighborhood advisory board for the city doesn't have that. We've had developments come in. I think they test us more than anything else to see. where they're going back and forth. And then we've actually had some that Carly and I have both gone,
That's
this
the way
doesn't
they
make any
present.
sense. And so we've gone to the followed it, because you, on the NAB, you can make comments and you send it to for the planning commission to read, which I don't really think they read them, but we have followed a couple to the planning commission and looked at each other and said, is this the same development that we heard someplace else? So it's really a little script. County has a great program. I just want to get it back over to here so we can say, when they're putting 2,000 homes up on the other hill, what the hell are they doing up there? You know, and this is what we need to know now. And I think that will draw a lot more people to our thing.
Yeah,
because-
everybody wants to know.
Yeah, we want to know what's happening, you know, but,
Like behind us, you know,
Sam
supposedly
Lucas.
it's on the market again,
Yeah.
you know, because he died.
and this is the kind of thing.
And,
but-
and it's just rumors from everybody.
And I don't mean to drift off of this, but also on this stuff of the RTC. I've had the experience, Carly has had the experience of addressing. And we've had a couple of projects we've worked on, with RTC. One was over there on McCarran and Keystone. Another one was on the 7th Street bus stop in McCarran, 7th Street, right next to Vancouver. And what did and I don't want to drag this on, but, we worked on Keystone and McCarran 9 years.
And I can't even count how much turnover was in that time. Let's just hope Paul is still around
Yeah.
the next time this comes up.
And the 7th Street bus stop, which was ridiculous, where it was at in the right-hand turn lane going to a shopping center, 6 years. Both of them got completed this year. And it was only because, I think I mentioned it once before, it wasn't because I was there to address a great presentation. I think they just said, he's so annoying, just do it. Get rid of this guy, he doesn't come in anymore. So, thank you for your.
We're gonna move on to item number 8, which is tab number commissioner announcements requests. Do we have any announcements?
I received no announcements from the commissioner.
Catwise, I got some brochures over there. I'm also here to the senior activity for the advisory. There's a couple of brochures over there. Then a business bureau is over there. And I think there's some dancing or something over. I just had the brochures, so welcome to pick them up and take them with
We
you.
didn't get the handout that you guys had on all the presentation, was there some extra ones?
We are supposed to have some. Yeah.
I just printed enough for the cab members, but I have one of my own if you would like it.
Yeah. I can give you mine for tonight.
If not,
There you go, that's what I was thinking.
I'll scan mine and send it.
Here, Casey, give mine.
It's like, if not, I can email them.
It's all right, sure.
Okay, Bob.
Madam Chair, we have a new alternate member. Wondering, wondering if we can give Mr. Martin a few moments to properly introduce himself.
I would love that. Thank you for suggesting it.
Thank you. Well, everyone, I'm Joe Martin, born and raised in Reno and kind of right on the outskirts of Verdi my whole life. Went to Verdi Elementary School, through Billinghurst, McQueen. I'm currently studying political science and international affairs, senior up at UNO. And for the past 4 years, I've worked at Edward Jones, a financial advice company. So hopefully next year I take the next step and can actually advise. So, but always been civically engaged, is why I get engaged with the community advisory boards and hopefully that and getting us some people in front of us who can actually help us do what we were designed to do. So I'm always open. My email's on the website, so please feel free to email me whenever. But open for questions.
Please have it. Yeah.
And so that you folks know, most of these folks live in your area. I'm over by, McQueen High School, which is still in the, so I really can't answer a lot of the questions, but this is the lady that really keeps on top of it, so. Make sure you.
Well. All right.
Couple of things. First off, there was a whole process last year of reinvesting the cabs. And maybe 20 meetings, that there are many meetings, about 7 to 3 or 4 of them. And I don't know what the outcome of that process was, but thinking about canceling the cabs and then deciding they weren't. I don't know if they want to extend the purview or not, but just wanted to make sure we do that. There was a lot of kind of resources invested. When you look at a lot of the problems that we have, there are different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So like on the book developments, there are 2 different websites, neither one of which really communicates to each other. At some point, supposedly the website will communicate together, but it makes it really difficult to tell who's developing, but that's likely to be aware. And my understanding is that was something like 50 feet or 75 feet. It's comically small in terms of how much people notify for development.
Like 50, yeah,
I think it's 50.
yeah.
Which, you know, in the context of the statements, that is.
Sometimes it only picks up half of our development.
you know, who did. I thought it was 750. Am I wrong? Is that Washoe County?
But I might watch the 550, I was 500.
Might be 500.
Yeah.
It is, I agree, especially when you talk about specifically local, we had the biggest issue with that because there were no residents, maybe 2 residents around the development that was supposed to be a commercial development, a very big deal. And no one was notified because there were no residents other than 2. So we got that extended. There are means of doing that, but it was pulling teeth.
And there's regulations for signage,
Right.
you know, needs to be posted, you know,
Right.
and readable instead of 500 feet away from where they posted it. So we have a handy with that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Will be,
You solve the notice problem back in the, I have in neighborhood. That is, all my experiences in Washoe County, Washoe County, and eastern Sacramento County. And no development occurs without going through neighborhood advisory committees that have been in place now since I've been 35, 40 years. Very effective. I've represented developers. I'm sure you, it's difficult to get improvements without that neighborhood group signing off. That is not what we have. We have much different.
A very good comment, though. I would agree with that on that. I think that, you know, so.
Yeah, what I say is that I'm a new father and have a daughter's almost 2-year-old now. And I'm very much hope, thank you, appreciate it. But there should be accepted to project right on the tree. The process. But I'm very much open to any thoughts that people might have, either in this room or on watching online, ways that we can create match for our daughter. That are unique to Verdi.
Create what?
Match,
Magic?
right.
Not video,
One of the things that we did, I love seeing the properties that go by. And I tracked it on the internet. We had a 5-year-old visiting. It's actually 3 at the time, a couple of years ago. And I made sure that we were on Fulci Ranch Road just 2 minutes before that was going.
Right.
And it was just the coolest thing in the world for this.
Yeah, that was fun.
And, you know, the other day we went hiking on the trail along the river, the waterfall where the fluke goes through, and that type of thing. So
I'll have to put it back.
if you consider, like, sorry,
The hole in the wall, is that what you're talking about?
well, there's a hole in the wall, but the one that I talked about is actually on the Tower Pyramid Trail, which is a lot closer.
Yeah.
Right, it's a lot, it's what you can see up, right?
Yeah.
Because like our daughter's pretty big, bring her with one wall, like right back. Just saying.
Get a red wagon.
I don't know if we can take it on that trail.
Well, that was so that's what we did with our daughter.
Oh, cool.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it in,
Okay.
fill it in.
I had one just a couple online comments from Susan Walsh. She didn't want to make another comment, but I'll just briefly summarize. She wanted to know if we could address the microphone issue here, and the answer is actually yes. The county just purchased 2 microphones that are a lot more portable than our giant setup.
Okay,
I can't force anyone to use it, but if I do bring them to future cabs for public comment and for board members, not everyone can just project their voice really loud, so we could possibly use that to help people online hear better. Our second question was on if the recording if we'll record on YouTube instead of Zoom, and I don't have an answer to that. We've never discussed that as a team, but I will bring it up during our next meeting and see if that's maybe a more efficient way to record these meetings. They do go on YouTube, of course, we do upload them, but they're not recorded like through a YouTube Live or anything
Gotcha.
like that.
I
That is
think
it.
it's sufficient that they are uploaded to YouTube, as long as we can send out that link.
Yes.
Because I've only seen the Zoom. I watched last month's meeting, I just don't remember how I did it.
It probably was on YouTube because I upload them every morning after the meeting if I can.
Okay. All right, so do we have any requests for future agenda items? That's a big.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Mac Rossi for the record. I realize Commissioner Hill, who's also the chairman of the county, is quite a busy lady. But if we could have her visit, put her first on the agenda, so she can, if she doesn't feel like she wants to sit through the whole meeting, at least address to us what's going on. I appreciate that. And don't overlook RTC. They only meet once a month on Friday, the third Friday at 9 o'clock. You can do public comment, get in and get out, and you're on your way. But I'm sure Paul Nelson is going to follow through what he has. But if anyone hurt his feelings, but also follow through on our side. Thank you.
Any other suggestions, requests for future agenda?
I think it could be nice to invite the PTA or whoever the Verdi school folks are, because they do a bunch of events, and as well the Verdi Historical Society does events. And I think that having them both come in and talk about the work that they're doing, I think the Verdi Historical Society have actually just done a model. And I think it'd be great to, as part of the public record, capture that so more people can be aware of the really cool things happening.
Fabulous suggestion. I would actually include the VFW in that as well, because
That's great.
little events and fundraisers, they've got, just to make the announcement, they've got their Spaghetti Feed, which is their annual fundraiser on October 4th from 12 to 4. And then the History Center is relocating from 2nd Street, right? Yeah. To the actual community center, which is the old Verdi Schoolhouse. And they're doing their grand reopening on October 10th. And it's an all-day event. So
Now about those empty buildings. There's two right next to each other. Who owns those?
Well, I know the owner of one of them. I don't know who owns the History Center. I personally assume that the Historical Center, the History Society owns that. I don't know what their game plan is as of yet. Maybe that's a good question to ask them at their grand reopening. They don't announce it. But there's an elder gentleman that owns the Nightcap Bar in the house behind. And then both of those buildings, the other vacant buildings right there next.
Oh, okay.
For Walmart, Walmart. I can't say it, name. I can spell it for you.
Matt Rossi again. Now, at least go to the city council meeting. It's second Tuesday of the month at city council at 5:30. I'm there almost every time. And also, just for general information, I don't know whether you're aware, when they do developments, well, they put $5,000 aside for RTC. There's also $1,000 that goes in from each house for parks. So parks are getting quite expensive.
Yes.
All right, so one last thing to put on our list is just making sure that we can go FTC follow-up. Obviously, I will be emailing with him personally, but just making sure that we have that on our rolling schedule so that we don't lose sight of it. And go ahead.
Oh, since we haven't talked to Fitzgerald lately, since we had the last Zoom meeting, was it?
So he's going through the city of Reno process, and that's the only time that he can actually hear updates on that particular development. He did present to the NAB just last month. And they are not yet scheduled for the city of Reno Planning Commission as of yet, since they're working through some technical issues with staff. So really the Verdi Council emails are going to be your best bet unless you want to try to follow it through the city process.
I think I heard that.
Yeah.
And I was at the NAB when he presented it, and he presented it to the NAB, and he had a list of, I think, 6 or 7 HOAs he presented it to, and he threw their small.
It was just our meetings that we've had with them.
Yeah, so he's been doing it, but he doesn't have to come here.
Okay, moving on to item number 9, for public comment. Do we have any general public comment online, in-house?
None.
Okay, great. We will move on to adjournment.
Mac Rossi, for the record, I make a suggestion, with a motion. Good, sure.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Anybody want to stay here all night?